Okay, here we go. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Certified Coach. I know some people are going to be watching the recording. We have Marcia here live. Glad you're here. So this is a free webinar to get any of your questions answered about our coach training program and just the pathway overall to being a certified coach. So if you're here live, you can introduce yourself in the chat. Where are you located? And whether you're watching the recording or here live, just reflect for a minute. What brings you here and why now? Many other things you could be doing with this hour. What has you here watching this webinar? And the purpose of our time together here is for you to see what coaching is all about and see if the Academy for Coaching Excellence is the coach training program for you. You'll learn our philosophy around professional coaching, discover a pathway to becoming a masterful coach, answer common questions about our program. We'll give you pricing and next steps if you want to get started with training, and you'll see the usual timeline for professional certification, especially for those of you who are going for an ICF credential. So feel free to pause and ask questions at any point. Otherwise, I'm going to keep moving. Let's look at what does a coach do. So there are four main things that a coach does in terms of a professional certified life coach. First of all, a coach supports their clients to see what matters most to them. To get clear on what it is, not what they should do, not how can they do more and more and more, but are they focusing their energy on what's most important to them? Clear about who they really are and what they want to contribute in this world. So that's the number one thing a coach does, a clear vision. And from there, helps their client set goals with true meaning. So once again, the client isn't necessarily doing more in life or setting bigger and bigger goals, but they know that their actions and their goals are all demonstrating who they really are and what's most important to them, and having a clear pathway forward to take action. And if you've ever set a big goal before, you know that at some point we all have what you could call our usual stopping points. The points where we either talk ourselves out of something, we get wrapped up with worry and doubt and everything that could go wrong, or we make things harder for ourselves than we need to be. And that's what we mean by stopping points. Helps their clients go past their usual stopping points. And this is where coaching can really come in handy. Being alongside someone as they're courageously moving toward a goal that has true meaning, and they come up against that thing that stops them, and being able to see what it is and move past with ease. And number four, a coach encourages their clients to celebrate successes. Now, by success, we have a particular definition here at the Academy for Coaching Excellence, which is success is doing what you said you would do consistently with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. So doing what you said you would do, not anyone else, consistently, meaning regularly over time, not just when you're feeling inspired or not when everything is going according to plan, but consistently doing what you said you would do with clarity. Going back to this first point, being clear about who you are and what's most important to you, what you want to contribute. Focus, meaning you're focusing your energy on what is most important to you. And when we talk about energy in this context, and you'll learn a lot more about this if you take the first course, the foundational training, is we see that there are really 6 kinds of energy that we get to focus on what's most important to us when we're out in the world playing for goals. And we talk a lot more about these 6 forms of energy and how to use them masterfully in the first course, but they are money, focusing the energy of money. Joseph Campbell called money congealed energy, focusing it on that which is truly meaningful for us so we can get things done in physical reality. Time, focusing our time on what's important. Our physical vitality, meaning our relationship with our body that allows us to do what we want to do in life. Our creativity, when we hit an obstacle, using the power of creativity to find new solutions, new possibilities, getting in that creative flow that we like to talk about. Relationship, giving and receiving support. We can do so much more together than we can do alone. And enjoyment. I'm sure you can think of a time where you've learned or found a way to enjoy what you're doing and found you could do a lot more because you were tapping into this energy of enjoyment. So this is what we mean by success, focusing that energy, getting clear on what's important, focusing those 6 forms of energy, and doing it with ease. And ease doesn't mean that you're not working hard. You can work hard with ease. Ease means you're not struggling unnecessarily. You're not making things harder than they need to be by getting stopped at those normal stopping points, by listening to all those worries and doubts, but to move forward without unnecessary struggle so you can be consistently doing what you want. And then grace in this context of success is appreciating and experiencing all of the unearned or unexpected blessings that are there around us always on our hero's journey. So this is what a coach does. And encouraging the client to celebrate success, we mean even small successes, doing what you said you would do consistently with clarity, focus, ease, and grace, are really important to celebrate. Now, why is that? It's not just because it's a fun, nice thing to do, but it's because our brains are really good at focusing on what's not going well or what hasn't gone well. I mean, think about any goal you've played for. Don't our brains look for what's not working? Well, it turns out a key success skill set is being able to recognize what is working, where we are being successful, and celebrate that in order to reinforce those neurological pathways so we can look for more of what can work and do more of that. So that's why celebration is so essential for what a coach does. So this is the 4 main ways that a coach supports their clients. So I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions or anything you're seeing about this before we move on? Marcia, does this all make sense?
Yes, and I love that you explained the 6 forms of energy. I didn't think that that had anything to do with it, but yes, it actually does. It actually does. Money, time, vitality, creativity. It does make
Yep.
sense. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you're seeing that. You
Mhm.
know, our founder and director, Dr. Maria Nemeth, who created this academy about 22 years ago, her latest book was called Mastering Life's Energies. And that's where she first talks about those 6 forms of energy. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
go to our website, you can see her TEDx talk and check out the book if you're interested.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So now what sets ACE apart? ACE, of course, being Academy for Coaching Excellence. We love our little acronyms, ACE. There are 6 main things that separate our approach. And if you've done any kind of research, Marcy, I know you've been on the ICF website. If you've done any research into coach training programs, you know that there are many, many of them, and it can be a little overwhelming to choose. So part of what we like to do here is show you what makes us a little different so you can see if we're the program for you. So first of all, our approach is ontological. Now, by ontological, ontology is the study of being. And without getting too deep and out there with the philosophy of ontology, because it can get complex, what it means for us in our coaching approach is actually quite simple. It means at its core that we see who you really are is separate than and greater than your thoughts, feelings, emotions, worries, doubts, circumstances. So it's not psychological. Psychology is the study of all of those things, thoughts, feelings, body sensations. With the ontological approach, you're present to who the person truly is that has the capacity to observe all of those things. Doesn't mean that they're not there or that we dismiss them, but what it means is we can be present to the person who is whole and complete. They're on their own hero's journey, and they have the capacity to rise above and move past any of those experiences and refocus on what's truly important to them. And the effect for our coaches is uh, coaching becomes much easier and energizing because you're not worried about solving their problems. You're not worried about fixing anything. You're so present as a coach to who they really are that in your presence and the way you interact with them, they experience their own greatness and they can tap into their own wisdom and find their own answers and take their own courageous action. So this is the ontological coaching approach, and we put it top of the list because it may be the biggest thing that distinguishes the way we train our coaches. So it's not about asking a bunch of clever questions. It's not about problem solving. It's not about giving advice, but creating a presence where people can tap into their own greatness. So that's ontological. Number two, our approach is universal. Universal meaning there are some other coach training programs out there that are more specific. For example, this is a program for executives, or this is a program where we train people to be health coaches, or we train people to be business coaches. And oftentimes when they get that specific, there's usually some kind of formula or advice, a model for what works, which can be useful. Our program is different. This coaching model, this ontological coaching model, can work in all different areas of focus, whether you're supporting someone on their business, or you're supporting someone to be showing up the way they want to show up in their relationships, or you're focusing on supporting, as I do, creative artists to tap into their creativity consistently. This approach works in just about any context. And in the program, we support you to identify where you want to focus your coaching and then use it effectively with the people that you're working with. So that's what we mean by universal approach. And one of the benefits of this is sometimes people start off wanting to coach a certain group of people, and then over time they shift and they become interested in coaching other people in other parts of their journey or other focuses of goals. And this same framework can be effective in just about any of those contexts. Our approach is pragmatic. What we mean by that simply is it works, meaning it produces results in physical reality. We say coaching hasn't occurred unless the person is taking an action in physical reality and producing some different results in their life that they want to produce. In other words, it doesn't end in an insight. Some other approaches, the idea is that they maybe have a shift in point of view or have an insight about something, and that's where the result ends. Here, we know that it's been working because people are taking action and producing the results they want in their life. Welcome, Curtis. How you doing, Curtis? Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Perfect. I'm just going to disable the waiting room quick. So, Curtis, Curtis, we are just looking at our training approach here at ACE, and I hope you go back and watch the beginning of the recording to get some of the first points. So our approach is also number 4, compassionate, meaning that we appreciate everything it takes for people to show up in their life. We use the metaphor often that we borrowed from Joseph Campbell of people being on their own hero's journey. All of the challenges and all of the courage that it takes. And so we can have compassion for people's lived experience and all of their emotions and all the worries and doubts that come up, everything in physical reality that can get in the way sometimes. And we see that they, once again, are greater than that, that they have the capacity to move beyond even the most challenging circumstances or emotions. And so we're present to them in a way that respects their lived experience and is a stand that they have what it takes to move forward and move past it and have breakthroughs in their life. Similarly, we're socially conscious. This is baked in. If you spend some time on our website, this is really just a part of our culture, a part of how we like to do business, and it's also part of what we see the impact of coaching can be in the world. Because we want all of our coaches to have successful businesses, and most of the people who choose our program don't just want to have great lucrative businesses, which we want for them, of course, but they also see that there's a greater impact that they can make in the world. That the world, in fact, needs coaching right now for people to show up as their best selves in order to really contribute what the world needs. And so this is just baked into our mission. It's baked into the culture of the type of coaches who come through our program. And we're always seeking for ways to contribute in that way. And similarly, our approach is ethical. So besides being socially conscious, we take the profession of coaching very seriously because we see that it is separate from, but as powerful as therapy. And therefore, we train our coaches to make sure that they're very clear about the ethical guidelines of coaching, that they're not creating any opportunities that could be harmful, that there's no conflicts of interest. Dr. Maria Nemeth still teaches the 4-part series that's part of our certification program, Coaching and Ethics, and she's an expert having a background as a PhD psychologist and as a master certified coach, so she really knows the difference. And this is really important, especially if you want your ICF credentials to stay within those ethical guidelines, to know that you really know the scope and the purpose of coaching. So these are the 6 major points that separates our approach at ACE. So I'm going to pause to see if anyone has any questions before moving on. And for those watching the recording, please feel free to reach out directly with any questions that you have. So Curtis, are you able to introduce yourself in the chat? Just where you're joining from and what brings you to the webinar today? I'll keep an eye out for it. I hope you're here and able to hear it. So I want to give you a chance, just as we talked about supporting people to be clear about their vision is one of the main things that a coach does, one of the first things that a coach does. So let's take a minute to envision what it would be like for you to be a successful coach. Once again, successful meaning doing what you said you would do consistently with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. So what would it be like for you to have clients appreciate you so much that they refer others to you? This is one of the main ways that people get clients. Once you've started working with a handful of clients, and we'll talk about how you get that first handful, then when you deliver such a quality experience for them, so much value because you've had this rigorous training that you know you can confidently handle anything that comes up with your clients, that they eagerly refer others to you. So just imagine what that would be like in your coaching practice. What would it be like for you to begin and end the day energized at the opportunity to empower people? When I started coaching, oftentimes people would say things like, "Oh, that sounds tiring. You're solving people's problems. You have to handle people's, issues. Sounds exhausting." And I said, "No, actually, after I have a coaching session with a client, I am energized. I'm pumped up. I'm inspired." Once again, that comes down to the ontological approach. When you're present to who someone really is, you see their greatness, you see all that they're capable of, and in your presence, they experience that for themselves. It's an energizing experience. You don't have to work too hard to coach people. That's one of the biggest things that makes a difference with this approach. And it makes a difference in the short term, and it really makes a difference in the long term because you're doing something that you are being fed by. That's rewarding because you're supporting people in this way. And so this is why so many of our coaches have longevity in their business because they're uh, energized by each session rather than exhausted by it. What would it be like to be in a community that supports you 100% in your professional and financial success? Um, this is another key point that makes ACE a little unique because we really foster a community, a mutually supportive community. There are some programs that have been around a while. We've been around for 22 years. There are a handful of other programs who have been around about as long or have a similar kind of rigor of program. And many of them are much bigger. They train thousands and thousands of coaches every year, which some people like. And we've kept it a little smaller, where we're training maybe hundreds of coaches, because we want to stay connected with each other. We want to foster a tight knit community. And you see it when you join the program and you get into a small peer support group. We have a very, very active online community with um, all of our mentor coaches, all of our course leaders on there, a few hundred, active coaches that are students and graduates are there all the time. If you ever have a question, people are jumping in with their experience. People are collaborating with each other, doing co-offerings. Um, there's so many ways that we stay connected. We do now quarterly town hall meetings that everyone's invited to. We have one coming up at the end of November, which if you join this first course in November, you can come to. Um, we even have been seeing pictures with a group in Southern California that they got together about 10 or 12 coaches for brunch, and they've been doing that about every month. And Dr. Maria Nemeth uh, went down to LA from Sacramento this past weekend to join them. So it's a community, and the community is supporting each other 100% professionally and financially. I mentioned earlier, one of the ways you'll get your first clients is usually through cross referrals between other coaches at ACE, because they know that they can trust an ACE coach. They know that they've been trained with this model that really works consistently. They know that they've been trained and mentored on a very high level. And often what happens is when people get excited about coaching and they get trained, they talk with their close friends and family about what it is and how powerful it is. And inevitably, some people get interested. Ooh, that sounds great. I'd love to work with a coach. And we really teach our coaches, if they're a close friend or a close family member, they're probably too close to be their coach. because there's too much relationship that it could be a conflict of interest. So the natural thing to do is refer to other ACE coaches. And we have, I mentioned the online community, we have a whole Slack channel that's very active. We have a separate channel just for trading referrals that people are always on. So these are just a few of the ways I could go on about how this community is so supportive, and it's a joy to be a part of it. And finally, what would it be like for you to be earning the fees that reflect your rigorous training? Having the confidence to charge fees that reflect one of the most rigorous training programs that's out there. And we really have a emphasis, we said at the beginning, pathway to becoming a masterful coach. This is the difference between becoming a coach. I mean, there's other quicker programs out there that you can complete in a couple weekends. We actually train, we exceed the requirements in terms of skill and competency level of the PCC level through the ICF. And why do we do that? Well, because we see how important a coach is in people's lives. And we want our coaches to graduate knowing that they have the skill level to confidently handle anything that a client brings to them and to do that consistently. And that's what makes them great coaches. That's what keeps people referring them to them. And it's also what gives people the confidence to charge the fees that they'd love to be making. So we provide rigorous training, as I've been saying, so you can confidently handle whatever a client brings to coaching. So if you're looking for speed over quality, we're probably not the school for you. So I know some of you are here from the ICF website, so just briefly on the benefits of ICF credentials. You'll have worldwide recognition. Truly, this is recognized in just about every country on the world. It is the by far recognized coaching credential. And we are one of many ICF accredited programs. I can speak to a little bit more about the path to credentials if you go through a program. You'll be part of a fellowship with like-minded professionals. You know, they have local chapters everywhere at the ICF, and you can join conferences. There's all these ways you can connect with coaches around the world, which is exciting. You'll have acceptance with professional organizations and companies. There are more and more opportunities that are opening up as coaching becomes more popular, as more evidence comes out to see how effective it is for people. And so companies are often hiring coaches internally, giving coaches contracts, even bringing them on staff sometimes to coach the teams. Or an organization will have a project and they'll bring on a coach. So there are more and more different opportunities to use your professional coaching skills and credentials. And for most of those opportunities, it's a prerequisite to have some kind of ICF credential, or at the very least, to be part of an ICF accredited training program, because that's one of the easiest ways to know that there's a certain level of ethical considerations and a certain rigor of training. And even if you are just going out there and building your own business and looking for private clients, the more people learn about coaching, which is happening very rapidly, the more there's a discernment where people understand that there's different levels of credentials, and they'll be looking for, are you part of an ICF program, or do you have your own ICF credentials? So I just gave a lot of information. I want to talk about our first course, but any questions? Curtis, Marcia? Is it Marcia or Marcia?
It's Marcia.
Marcia.
Yes.
Any questions so far? What are you seeing about all this?
No, I'm taking it all in, actually. I'm taking it all in.
Okay, great. And Curtis, I don't know if you're able to come off mute or write in the chat right now, or if you just logged in to get the recording. but would love to hear from you if you have any questions or um, anything you're noticing for yourself. So let's look at the first step. The first step is the Academy Foundational Training. The Academy Foundational Training, we were talking, Marcia, about the different energies, right, that we use. We focus our time, we focus our money, we focus our creativity. Um, this course used to be called Mastering Life's Energies, based on the book. But we saw it was really the foundation of this whole coach training program, so we changed it to the Academy Foundational Training. But the whole purpose of this first course is to first learn all of the underlying tools and principles that make up the foundation of our coaching model, but first apply them in your own life. First use them to move past your own stopping points, have your own transformation, before then using it to coach others. And this is for a couple reasons. One is, well, it gives you a chance to experience the model for yourself. You know, I can talk about it for an hour, and it's not going to replace actually really experiencing being coached in this model, really experiencing the power of the tools and the principles yourself. So it's a way to really get the experience before deciding if you want to commit to the whole program, which is a 1 to 2 year program for the full certification. Also, Marcia, I know you were looking at maybe some individual courses that give you some credits. This course gives you, I believe, 30 CCEUs. So you get a lot of credits from taking just this one course.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, it's 4.5 days. I'll give you the details in a second. As I mentioned, it's a transformational course. You know, what do we mean by transformational at the Academy? Well, primarily we differentiate it from change, because many times we find ourselves taking a course or a program or a webinar or even reading a book, and we experience some change, like, I'm going to change my way of looking at something for a while. I'm going to change my approach to this, or maybe I'm going to change how I'm doing things for a little bit. But there's always a sense that I can change right back. And often that's what happens in a few weeks. Transformation is different in this course. Transformation means uh, in this course, you will see some things about your life, about how your brain works, about what comes up that stops you. You'll see some things that you won't unsee ever. So in that sense, it's like the caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. There's no going back. For example, you'll see something uh, in this first course, if you want to, called your basic assumption. And your basic assumption is your fundamental tendency toward fight, flight, and freeze. And it shows up when you're about 18 months old. And it's kind of what's running in the background. And it comes up and whispers in your ear whenever we're doing something new or different. And that's the point where we usually either stop ourselves and talk ourselves out of moving forward, or we struggle through it. And the whole point of going through this process to observe your basic assumption is that once you see it, it no longer ever needs to get in the way. It doesn't need to cause that struggle, because you're creating this gap. This is the ontological gap. You're creating a separation from what comes up psychologically and who you really are, so that you can move forward with courage. So that's just one example of what we mean by transformational. And we have all of our coaches start here because we really believe that you can't coach someone past a point you haven't gone past yourself. So going through this process, seeing what stops you and moving past this really sets our coaches up to be very successful as they move forward with the rest of the program. So that's the first training, and I'll give you the details. And once again, you can take the first two trainings before committing to the rest of the program. You get ICF credits, you get a lot of skills that you can use in your life, and you get to experience it before committing to the whole program, and we just reduce your remaining tuition by the courses you've taken. So the next one coming up is November 15th through the 19th. It's 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. if you're on the West Coast. It's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. if you're Eastern. And then there's a following half day. That's 2 Saturdays. It's a week from the following Saturday. That's 9 to 1 Pacific and 12 to 4 Eastern. Now, these times are a little bit earlier than we typically do it because this is spread out over 5 7-hour days instead of 4 9-hour days. Why? Because we have people from all over the world who take this course. It's one of the cool things about this course, especially since we went all online. So we have a lot of people from Europe who are interested. We've had people from South America, China, Singapore, Australia, all over the place. So this is kind of our European East Coast friendly that still works if you're on the West Coast and don't mind getting up a little early. So the regular price, we have a sliding scale for all of our courses and for the full coach training program. It's one of the ways that we make it as inclusive as possible for people who might not otherwise be able to afford a program like this. So the regular price is $1,200 at the bottom scale and $3,600 at the top. Completely up to you to choose which tier you want to join at. We don't ask for any documentation, any proof of income. It's just for you to take a look and see what is the price that works for my budget. That's an investment, but it's not going to be any kind of hardship. And we have early bird discount of 25% off. So that brings the bottom tier all the way down to $900 and the top tier down to $2,700. We have 3 tiers in between. We are past the early bird deadline by about 2 days, but we're going to extend it to anyone watching this recording. And all you got to do is use the promo code SYWBCC, which stands for So You Want to Be a Certified Coach. I'll send this all out in the follow-up email with the recording. So this is the first step, and really, we just encourage people, even folks who come to us and they say, you know what, I've worked with an ACE coach. I know that this is the program for me. I love Dr. Maria's work. I want to sign up for the whole thing. We still encourage them, just start with the first course. Why not? There's no disincentive for taking it one step at a time. So that's really the first step. That's all we really want you to consider taking next, but I'll walk you through the other steps just so you get a sense of the whole program. Step 2, join the Academy Foundational Coaching course. This is the second of the foundational courses. And this is where you build on everything you've learned in the first course, but then learn to apply it to coaching others. So you'll see the principles and practices of ontological coaching. You'll learn to use basic ontological tools to empower others and discover whether the Academy coach training program is perfect for you. And I'd say even beyond ontological tools with your clients, it's really about being in a certain way with your clients. It's about clearing away any of the stuff that we project onto people we try to support sometimes, anything psychological that we worry about, anything that gets in the way from us being fully present to who they are, and doing so and then interacting with them in a way that they get to tap into their greatness. And when you do that, I promise you don't need a lot of tools. You don't need to do a whole lot more. Now, we give you a very clear structure. We give you a set of tools. We give you lifetime access to an online portal of handouts you can use with your clients and all of that. But that's all built on this foundation of being the presence of coach with people, which, by the way, is useful whether or not you decide to build your own professional coach practice. We've had people come in that just want to use these fundamental coaching tools, this coaching presence, who are ministers, who are teachers, who are consultants, who are CEOs. So it's really applicable in a lot of different contexts. But if you decide to move on as a professional coach, you have everything that you need to then start really having empowering coaching relationships with people. So this is the same sliding scale pricing. We extend the early bird price after you graduate the first course, so you don't need to worry about missing out on that. That's step 2. Step 3 really has several things wrapped into it. So you start earning money working with paying clients. After you've joined the full program and you've completed the first 2 courses, you start working with your mentor coach. You can actually start working with your own paying clients, making money as you go, and working toward the 125 coaching hours with your clients that we require to get your graduation. By the way, 125 hours, it exceeds the ACC requirement, but once again, it's our emphasis on training masterful coaches. You immediately qualify for the first level ICF credential, the ACC, Associate Certified Coach. And as soon as you get your 500 hours that ICF requires for your PCC, Professional Certified Coach, you can go right back to the ICF website and apply for your PCC without any additional advanced PCC training, because we actually train at the PCC level. So we exceed all the ICF requirements for those competencies. There's 2 more core courses. There's the Advanced Coaching course, which is exactly what it sounds like, more skill development, more practice, more advanced tools to use with your clients. There's the Art of Enrollment, which is our largest course. It's 4 full days and then 3 to 4 3-hour follow-up sessions. That's where you learn how to enroll clients into your practice in a way that's effective, in a way that's authentic, meaning you don't have to be salesy or pushy or put on any, manipulate people in any way. You can really just be compassionate and authentic with people, and in a way that's fun and effective, meaning people find they actually enjoy enrolling people because they're doing it in such a way that contributes to them, a way that really supports them to see what's possible in their life. And that's one of the biggest breakthroughs that our coaches have when they go through this whole program, is oftentimes coaches who are naturally compassionate, generous people worry about, oh, I don't want to have to sell myself. I don't want to be pushy or anything like that. And when they get the training to do it in an authentic way, they find that they actually look forward to that part. So as I mentioned before, there's a 4-week coaching and ethics 4-webinar series. And then there's continued 14-week coaching skills group where you continue to build your skills as you're building your practice, as you're working with your mentor. So in other words, you're building your practice with the full support of your program, of your cohort, of your buddies, so that by the time you graduate, you've really built a solid business for yourself. Now, any questions about what are in each of these steps before I go on to the investment for the full program? Okay, perfect. I take it it's clear then. So this is the full cost for the full program. Once again, it's a sliding scale. It's 9,120 at the bottom tier and 16,320. That's including the first 2 courses. So you would subtract whatever you pay for the first 2 courses. So for example, if you've taken the first 2 at tier 1, that brings this remaining price down to 7,320 for tier 1. And then we offer an 18-month payment plan, so you can spread the payments out. Ends up being a little over $400 a month, and you'll be earning money as you go. The only additional cost is $250 per month. That's paid directly toward your mentor coach. It covers 2 sessions a month, so 125 a session. And you start working with your mentor coach only after you've completed the first 2 courses and enrolled in the certification program. And then you work with your mentor for the rest of the program until you get your 125 hours. You can start making money right after the second course. And we will train you to get clients. Once again, you get clients from referrals from your buddies in the ACE community, especially within your cohort. That's one of the biggest ways. We give you a very structured, effective way to reach out and have effective referral conversations with your personal and professional networks to get direct referrals. We teach you how to, over time, build visibility so that you're starting to get kind of passive referrals through your marketing over time. And then you'll get referrals from your clients as soon as you start working with your first few clients. And we also, out of the 125 required hours, let you do up to 50 pro bono hours. So sometimes people just take on a couple pro bono clients to get started and get the word out. So there you have it. Just gave you a lot of information. Just gonna open it up for any questions that folks have in the remaining few minutes. Or you can let me know. Greg, that was totally clear. I have no questions.
Yeah, Greg, I have no questions. It's a lot to chew on. So I'm going to digest the information that you shared with me, and I thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, please let me know as you chew on it, if there's anything else I can do to support your decision of if you want to take the first step. And this is, once again, this is the best suggestion I can give folks is it's a lot to consider, this whole 1 to 2 year program. Take it one step at a time. I promise if you even just take this first course, you get a lot out of it. It'll support wherever you go next, whether you continue training with us or you go in a different direction. We'll give you some really powerful tools that you can use for the rest of your life. So look at the dates for the first course, consider just jumping in and getting started. And then from there, things tend to get a lot clearer when you take it step by step.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your presentation.
Absolutely. Great. Well, I'm going to pause the recording and I'll stay on for another minute in case anybody comes in with another question. Thank you for being here. Curtis, I hope you're able to hear us or at least watch the recording. Marcia, thank you for being here live. And for everyone else watching the recording, please feel free to reach out directly if you have any questions.
Thanks again. Have a good evening.
You too.